Rafe, it's nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
We're here talking about Coriolanus, your directorial, starring in, directed it. Great film, great film. I saw it in Los Angeles. And I already talked to Jerry Butler about it a bit earlier in the week, or when it started. I can't even know what day it is. What made you want to take on this play in particular?
Well, it was a play that always had affected me very deeply. I played it in the theatre about 10 years ago. I think it's a sort of political morality play, centering around this very intransigent central figure of Coriolanus, who I've always been very drawn to, perversely maybe, because I think what Shakespeare's doing is he's setting up this protagonist who's a challenge to the audience and to other people in the drama, but then reveals this kind of extreme integrity in this man, but is intolerable for society. It's really, I think, it's a sort of a story of the dysfunction, the total dysfunction of society, of the world.
And it feels very, I mean, I love Shakespeare, and I probably know more than the average bear, but this play isn't, I have like a high school knowledge of it, so for me watching that film, I was like, the violence of it and the military, I was like, oh my God. It really, to me, it felt like it could be, and this is probably a cliche, but it did feel like it's dealing with all the things we're dealing with right now.
Completely.
100%. And I was like, wow. And even the charismatic leaders, the way that Butler's he's so charismatic, and the squaring off of the two.
In thinking about it, I became convinced it should be set in a modern setting, and continually in the news, even before now, with all the uprisings in the Middle East and the sort of move towards so-called democracy. You see these intransigent leaders, political leaders, military leaders, who people want sometimes to lead them, and then don't want them.
What was the most difficult thing about this film? Because it's very complex. I was thinking about the direction while I was watching it, and just thinking about how you had to do that. I mean, how was it? What was the most challenging part of that?
Well, I knew I was taking
so physical a performance.
Well, I knew it was, clearly it's a big thing to take on, acting a lead and directing, and it's the first time. It seemed a bit mad, but I was driven. I was driven to do it, and I thought that this story, this play, if you edited it aggressively, you would have this very dynamic drama. But I was thinking about it and preparing it for a long time, and went on 2-3 big location scouts, and finally decided Belgrade. The idea, it's set in Rome, quote, Rome, but I want to suggest that Rome could be anywhere, that it's not Rome, Italy. In fact, I got permission at the front to have a card, which is a title the playwright John Osborne used for a version of the play he did, a place calling itself Rome. And that's exactly sums up the idea underlying the film. But I was lucky. I was surrounded by amazing crew. Barry Ackroyd, who was the DP that Catherine Bigelow worked with on The Hurt Locker and United 93, who's fantastic, particularly for crowd scenes, battle scenes.
The action was great.
And he was brilliant, and then had wonderful cast with Vanessa Redgrave.
Dare I say this, but people in America might not even know it's Shakespeare. I mean, it doesn't...
There's always a risk, I wanted to stay with the language, and there's always going to be that. Some people, you can feel them, Shakespeare, as if it brings back bad memories from school. I have the opposite response. I go, okay.
Would you direct again? You loved it?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was crazy, as you can imagine. We had to shoot in 8 weeks, but I didn't. Although I felt the pressure, I never felt intimidated by the task. I mean, I think I was hungry. I had carrying this thing in my head.
It's great. Well, it's great to see you. I love the film, because I mean, you're going to have a great time with it, obviously.
Thank you. It's great seeing you again.
Likewise.